So many of these videos keep beginning with, well, I just got home, and I did just get home. Also out of sorts. You guys keep hearing me probably babble about I'm detoxing still, and I probably should flip this routine, which I intended to do at the beginning of this month. In other words, for the month of November, and I think I might throw something else out there in a minute. Pardon me, I'm lightheaded, I'm out of sorts, like I said. But through the month of November, daylight hours I haven't been eating. Not until after dusk, well after dusk. For the most part, I've been trying to go about 17 hours a day. And then it's been a light meal, if that. I'm also still weird shit with my body. So smaller meals and all that jazz. What I mean by flipping it is the beginning of December, I was going to start eating in the mornings. And then I was going to fast another 17 hours, respectively. But I didn't start doing that. I fell into a routine, in other words, and it got the better of me. But I think that's also why it's kicking me in the pants. Plus, I mean, there's certain vital this, that, and the other thing that I know I'm not getting. And your body will tell you for the most part. I mean, the other day when I knew I had to just have some vitamin C, and I forget what the other one was. Either way, you get the point. I was lacking certain things. Yeah. So I'm jumping on here, as I usually do, because I want to show you guys stuff, blah, blah, blah. The other thought I had that I wanted to rattle off involved, we all have our heads up our ass to some degree still, myself included. Case in point, I didn't follow the routine I told myself I would follow. I didn't stay the course in that regard. I fell into a routine and, made it into a muddled mess, and that's, I think, probably why I feel kind of funny. But then again, yeah. So what I'm poorly rattling off here is if you and I... Here's the analogy. My house is fairly filthy. When I was younger, my parents and my sister like to remind me of this. I got the Mr. Neat and Tidy award for my desk in elementary. So they hold that over me when they see this type of shit. When I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I had an art project cooking in one of my sinks. And I remember one of my buddies came over, and I think, it was Yarrow. Yarrow said, "It looks like somebody shit in your sink, bro." And it did. It looked pretty nasty, but I was taking photos, and I lived there, and I didn't give a fuck. But my sister would rather use the Walmart bathroom, just for perspective, than my old place. So what I'm getting at is, in terms of the realm, the system that you and I inhabit, if people started doing the right thing, quite literally doing the right thing and drawing a line in the sand and setting a standard in numerous ways. I mean, you could do it, you could start small, and that's the way it should begin. We would change the system. The same with if I clean my fucking house. I mean, some of the health issues I'm experiencing right now, it's so funny how you'll draw parallels between these things. The soil around my place is fairly acidic, as was my body prior to me finally taking the initiative to try to change some of this stuff. And it's interesting that some of the things that grow better in the acidic soil have died off since I started doing this. Plus winter came, but prior to that is my point. When I started trying to change some of these things, you'll see this in a number of ways. I had a clogged sink, and I had other things. I mean, I was constipated and other just wacky fucking shit. Too much information, I know. But the moment I did things to alleviate that, the sink, it's fucking weird. It's how the system works. It's a little backwards, and it's paradoxical, and it's cyclical, and it's all these other confusing things I keep rattling off. Case in point, one of the many observations that I'm pretty sure holds water, which I'm probably not going to throw out in here, but I have touched on, having to do with the end is the beginning and the beginning is the end, which has been seeded. We've all been told that. These things flip-flop in a big way. I've also left this online. Our masters are laughing at us, and usually they have you chasing your tail. They usually have you chasing the side that's going to tear it down, typically speaking. So that touches on the other thing I was going to get at. Plus, I just want people who haven't pulled their heads out of their ass or even considered something like that to think about banding together and doing the right thing. And what do I mean by that? Because usually people also ask me to think for them. doing away with genetically modified shit. That would be a great start. That's one of many things. Not permitting chemtrails to be sprayed. Not allowing them to take off from the runways, the airstrips. It would require some sacrifice, but that's a little bit bigger step probably than most people are willing to do, but it would change things. It would change things. People want to know, how do you change things? That would change things. For the better, so long as people stayed the course. So, where is it at? These are just skate pad crap. But our masters seeded this. You know, cop codes having to do with a homicide. And when you look at it, I mean, they're fucking laughing at us, but people aren't thinking for themselves. This is also an iteration, if you think about it. Take the 1 and add it to the 7, and what do you see? I mean, it's the Donnie Darko number. You have to think in terms of the angles. It's not the only angle in there, or you could take the 7 and add it to the 1. And when you think about that, you're seeing the same pattern twice in here. It's one of the many angles. I want to show you guys other stuff. A lot of it, in this case, having to do with that. The other day I left answers online, and it had to do with, now I'm remembering his first name, which cracks me up, even though I have my brain fog. Leonard Horowitz, the guy that wrote The Biological Apocalypse with, 528 hertz is, the color green and the heart chakra and blah, 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 and love. That guy. And that shit is one of those in caps that sinks to the other side and tears shit down, if I'm not mistaken. And I left an answer online related to what I just showed you and that. I mean, it's pretty fucking obvious when you see 528 pop up and you see 187 pop up. It's pretty fucking obvious. Here's something else you don't hear online. So you got to think in terms of our masters' expressions that they've seeded to the public sphere. You've heard of being 86th from a bar. One step above that is what if you cast the 1 having to do with 187? And one step above that is what? That Donnie Darko number. It's relevant. I mean, this is one of the many things I mean by our masters know this shit. The things that I've rediscovered, the things I'm thinking in terms of things I could show you guys. And this is me sidestepping the really cool shit of how you build this up and you see it. But you could take what I've said in this video and use it as a tool. It's not something people spell out for you because you're not supposed to know it. When I say that, because most people aren't thinking at all, I'm talking about information that is not in the public sphere. It's not public knowledge because you are not supposed to fucking know about it. That's what I can teach you. There's a number of things that people do not know, and they're not supposed to know, and most will probably never know. I have to eat something. I was going to show you some of the other routes because it's part of what I was working on today, and it's really fucking neat, but I think I'm crashing, so. On that note, if you hung out with me, thanks for hanging out with me. I mean that. And for those of you who haven't given up on me, even though I know I can be a complete dick, there's a method to my madness. Thanks for sticking around. I mean that. It's a lot to stomach sometimes, especially the rants. I get that. And I'm long-winded. Hope you guys understand that leaving some of these answers online is a disservice to everybody if people aren't willing to throw away the paradigms and build them up for themselves to see this stuff. If they're not willing to tear down what I said, in multiple videos or books, etc., and work with it, it's useless. And I hope you guys see that for what it is. And the more you work with what I've spoon-fed folks, you will fucking uncover answers to reality. I guarantee it. You will see things people don't see. You'll see things that our masters know, and then you'll recognize it. When you go out the door, you'll see it in the programming, and it will fucking haunt you. Because they are laughing at us. All right. Thanks again for hanging out and putting up with me and all that other jazz. I really don't want to make food. All right. Have a good night, you guys.